and welcome back to SiGMA TV. We're here to bring you all the biggest news from gaming and business as we gear up to our digital conference in June. So if you are a fan of the space or you're looking to learn a little bit more, be sure to like our Facebook page to keep up to date with our content. We'll be taking a look at key strategies and performance in Japan with Katja Nordstrand from PoshFriends. So Katja, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Jessica. That's great. Thank you for the invitation.
You're very welcome. Now I want to ask you, what is the current status of the market in gaming in Japan, especially in light of COVID-19?
Well, I will say a trivial thing, but we see new opportunities in the corona crisis. Due to lockdown, Japanese players have migrated from offline pachinko halls to online casinos. People spend more time at home and they're struggling for entertainment. Affiliates are in the same situation. We notice a bunch of newcomers without any experience but with lots of enthusiasm. They follow the line of least resistance and create small Twitter accounts, line groups and chats, or very simple WordPress blogs with casino ratings. So it's high time for small affiliates that have only their laptops and maybe cameras and don't have big offices on Malta, big teams and investors' money behind them. These small affiliates are fast and flexible, and they're really game changers now.
That's interesting. So there's more opportunities in the space as well.
Yes, when it comes to traffic sources, online streams are really booming. For example, around 2 years ago, there were almost online Japanese streamers. Even if we accidentally came across streamers, they preferred to stream without a camera and hide their faces behind avatars or icons. Now, in the era of Zoom meetings and Skype parties and dates, video communication is becoming commonly familiar to everyone. Look at me, for example. I've never had a Skype interview with my cat scratching my sofa behind me and from my flat. But here I am, and people are locked down, and they want to see each other and talk to each other, even via YouTube channels. So streamer becomes a guide, a coach, a good friend for his audience. Players follow his gambling career and they're glad for his winnings and they regret about his losses. Streams are very important for players nowadays.
And now if we look at, because you've identified some of the differences that we have seen because of COVID-19 and the impact that's had on the market and in particular Japan, if we look outside of just COVID, but in general the situation, how do players' trends differentiate in different regions? So for example, Japan's market compared to Asia, for example.
For example, Japanese players tend to choose live games, especially baccarat and roulette instead of slots. And they do love betting. Betting on football, on tennis and baseball. Those are different games in Japan. But coronavirus has made alterations to their preferences. There is no place for sport events in the time of pandemic, and bookmakers are reoriented to casinos. And some soft providers have reduced or temporarily closed live dealers due to lockdown. Some of their live dealer studios are located on Philippines, and they were closed. So in Japan, slots are most popular now. Moreover, due to their similarity to pachinko, slots look like the most natural option for Japanese offline players. And that's a big difference between, for example, China and Japan. Japanese is becoming a more open and transparent market. Unlike China, where you need to build a network of offline couriers with suitcases of money, Japan is close to Europe in its business principle. All the major players in the gambling industry, both casinos and affiliates, have already entered and or are planning to enter this market. And in terms of online gambling, they're going to have a new Sweden in Japan soon. I mean, a country with a good gambling infrastructure, strong players communities, and a very intense rivalry between casinos. Luckily, population in Japan is like 12 times bigger than Sweden, so there is place for everyone.
And you mentioned there how just big it is compared to Sweden and just the magnitude of the country. When we look at people that are interested in looking to learn more, what kind of difficulties are you able to identify that do come from conducting business in the Japan market?
Due to streams boom, we have to elaborate new ways of tracking. For example, Japanese streamers do not put referral links in the description of video. So we have to release tracking bonus codes. Affiliates can easily put on the banners, creeping lines, chatbot, or just say them out loud. It was a new feature just for Japanese market. And when it comes to Japanese SEO websites, they may look a bit old-fashioned. But I believe we need to offer them good, high-quality promotion materials as well. There is a very big difference in design thinking between European and Asian mentality. When you see a Japanese website for the first time, it looks like math for you. But soon you start realizing that it has very good block structure. You can place lots of information on a very small piece of the screen. Interface and user experience approaches are really different between Europe and Asia, and you need to take up this challenge.
And how do you see the future perspectives of the Japanese market compared to other markets in Asia?
Japanese players are more reckless and they want to get everything or nothing. While in Europe, especially in Scandinavia, for example, they are more recreational players. In other Asian countries, they're very close to Japan and their gambling mentality. What's very important that Japanese players are very loyal to casinos and their account or VIP managers. It differs them from other countries. They're stuck to old and proven casinos. But Japanese affiliates has very slow pace of work. So, for example, how we are used to working in the European market. Affiliate comes to your booth at the conference and asks whether you accept Norwegian traffic, for example. And yes, you do. You drink some cocktails and discuss CPA rates with him. Affiliate opens an account without leaving your booth, and after a couple of days, you already see first players. In the Japanese market, you are going to negotiate for a long time, sometimes with weekly or monthly delays. Discuss all small details and wait for launch. It took us a year of preparation to close our longest deal. So Japan market is going to boom, but not so fast as it was with European markets. But as I said, Japan is 12 times bigger than Sweden, for example. And as for me, I strongly believe that it is going to become a center of Asian gambling. It will be the first country with the biggest online gambling infrastructure in Asia.
It certainly sounds very exciting with huge potential there. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jessica.
Well, that's all from us here. We'd love to hear how you found this segment, so share your thoughts in the comments below.